everything else versus Bitcoin essentially gets spent and dies.
I want to be able to have reactive security, and I think Opvault is today the most straightforward, easiest to use way to do that.
I will not be insulted by a clockmaker.
Overall, these kind of ways to make the network easier to both build on and interact with, I think is a really big deal.
If Bitcoin existed when we started Twitter, we would not have to go down the ad model path. I mean, it's simple as that.
Integrating Lightning into a social network is the killer app.
Hello, and welcome to the Bitcoin.Review podcast, where we explore developments and projects with the people who actually make them happen. The show is supported by Pod 2.0, SAT Streaming, and Coinkite. We make the COLDCARD and fun products like the block clock. You can find more information about it on Coinkite.com. This is a list episode where we're going to go through a very long list of software updates as boringly as possible. I have a pretty awesome crew here today. I have Bumi from Alby. Hi, Bumi.
Hey, everybody. Happy to be here.
I have Guy, who runs a great Bitcoin Audible podcast and reads a lot of cool stuff for us and also writes. Hi, Guy.
What's up, man?
And I have a Twitter shitposter and now our recent addition to Coinkite as a VP, Mr. Vivek. Welcome to the show and Coinkite.
Hey, MVK. Yeah, it's great to be on here and great to join Coinkite. Super excited.
That's right. Well, what a funny first job for you, huh? Be a guest.
Yes. This is a live test. Technically, it's not even my first day yet. So, I'm really being thrown into the fire.
That's right. Sink or swim, baby. Sink or swim. So, as we said, Vivek joined the team. There is a Coinkite workshops at Bitcoin Park and Bitcoin Commons coming. COLDCARD plus TAPSIGNER now available for sale at Bitcoin Park. That's cool and fun, and you can buy KYC free in person. Q1 reservation date revealed. It should be around Q4, and do get yours because I think we sold a bit much, and I don't know the size of the batch. So if you want to be part of that first batch that comes out, make sure you reserve it. SATSCHIP for artists, 50% off. Checkmessage.org got updated, so checkmsg.org. Cool little place for you to check Bitcoin messages if they're valid. Coinkite gift cards now available on Oshi app. And Nunchuk partnership announcement. Very cool. All right, so with that, we're going to start the list. So today we do have a vulnerability. Disclosure, Mr. MZ got SeedSigner to log seeds to the SD cards with just 6 lines of code. You know, this is like not new to, I think, anybody. It's a pretty sort of like standard thing you can do with Raspberry Pis. And a reminder for people not to share those devices with anyone or keep SD cards in because, due to the design, you can't attest to the OS, the firmware, and its capacity to forget secrets. It's just part of how it works. But yeah, I think if you don't share, if you don't keep the SD cards, and if you check signatures of the OS every time you do it, you have a chance.
You have a chance.
Yeah, I mean, it's a general purpose computer, right? I mean, like, yeah. I don't want to beat like too much into it because it's like a fun hobby project, but people need to understand that, like general purpose computers are not meant to keep secrets. Even if they look like a cool little hardware wallet, they're still a general purpose computer, right? Without a secure element. It's dicey and tricky.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, with this vulnerability, is this after you remove power from it and plug it back in? The seed is still there?
Yeah, you'll be on the SD card. It's just, it's 6 lines of Python just saying, hey, write the seed to the micro SD card.
No, I'm meaning that I guess if I'm using the micro, it would require me to wipe the micro SD card. I mean, okay, that would be the difference. Yeah.
The challenge is that like this device is marketed like a noobs, right? Like even though the hobbyists love it, and the noobs who sort of like run an evil version of the firmware very easily because there's no checks, right? And that's sort of like I think it's a wonderful device for people to learn and a wonderful device for people to do multi-sig. I just don't think it's safe enough for people to do single sig. But that's just my opinion. And I have opinions about hardware wallets. All right, so now in the Bitcoin software, Specter Desktop version 2.0.0, refined user interface, ability to connect to Bitcoin network using public Electrum servers, the new feature that allows users to connect Bitcoin network via public Electrum servers, Tor connectivity for outgoing traffic, many bug fixes, feels lighter, faster, and more responsive. It's been a while since we got Specter Desktop, and 2.0 is a big number. Do you guys use Specter?
I used to use it. I've referred it to many noobs, probably in the late 2020. I think it was the wallet of choice. I loved how you could quickly spin up your own full node and have a COLDCARD set up with multisig and everything. So a lot of the people I've referred to do use Specter, and they find it very easy. I've literally had someone non-technical go 0 to 100 multisig and full node because of them. So kudos to them.
Yeah, one very cool thing about it is it was the first sane UI connected directly to your local Bitcoin Core RPC. So what that means is that like essentially you were using Core to do all the heavy lifting, but you had this like very cool sort of sane UI that handled most of your Bitcoin needs on the business level, right? Yeah, so it's nice today. They're keeping up the updates. I think they got acquired by Swann. So Moritz,
that's right.
And Stefan were and Ben was the ultra shipper in there.
I've found myself steering away from desktop wallets lately. I do use Specter, but I use it specifically on my embassy.
Huh.
I think I went through this period where I don't know what the hell is going on with like my local network. I even tried to use Tailscale, which did work with my Umbrel, but for some reason I was having issues connecting to my nodes from my desktop to my BTC, the one that's running on BTC Pay on Luna node, and then like my embassy. And I was like, I don't know, it was enough of a headache, and it took long enough to sort out that I just kind of like, I was like, I'm just not going to do this anymore. So I've got like 4 or 5 desktop wallets that actually aren't connected to anything on my computer anymore. And I just use it on embassy and mobile. I use Nunchuk a lot now. Like
Nunchuk is great
with NFC and stuff. Like I've just kind of gone mobile and just separated the keys from it.
You know that for like petty cash wallet and all that stuff, like Nunchuk, single sig, and with NFC's TAPSIGNER, and then you know I use Zeus and everything else on Lightning now, and I overpay for a on-chain transaction if I need to.
Yeah.
But for business, shopping cart and accounting, I was just doing the year end of the company. It's like, I need desktop, right? Like, so I have like now a machine that's just desktop, just Bitcoin software in it that like, then I can plow through, like 10,000, 30,000 transactions for the quarter or whatever, and sort of like go through things. But it's, yeah.
I've noticed desktop becomes difficult for people as soon as they run more than one node, because the ports and whether it's connecting over Tor, just basically Bitcoin.conf becomes a cluster fuck. I don't know if we're allowed to swear on this.
You are.
Okay, cool. But yes, it is very difficult for noobs to organize in a manner that all of their nodes can access the same Bitcoin core.
Yeah, no, Bitcoin Core was not designed for this use, right? So like it doesn't do anything special, sort of trying to have these multiple separate connections. And also I find that like people use Tor wrong on desktop. They don't they try to have like many Tor clients per application instead of just having like a single Tor client running at OS level as proxy,
Tor,
right? Yeah. So yeah, if you're on a Mac, just brew install Tor, and then brew services start Tor. That's
it's
it.
Funny. It's funny. I've literally done that. Like I have that, but then I know that there are like apps and wallets that I still use that just use like an internal Tor. So like,
turn those off.
I'm stacking them on top of each other, right. Baby. I'm Toring inside my Tor.
Yeah, and then it takes like 10 hours to like send a ping. Anyways,
got that sweet 2,000 millisecond lag.
That's right.
So I would play my League of Legends.
But it's just tricky, right? I mean, I can understand why a lot of apps are integrating Tor, just to make it a bit easier for the user to not learn about brew install Tor and brew services and so on. Right. That would be the right way to do it, I think. So yeah, that's.
I kind of wish OS makers would just sort of like have Tor by default come with the software, like OS X would have Tor. I know Microsoft would never do that, but or Linux, most distros would just come with Tor as if it was like a menu bar VPN like thing.
True. Yeah.
That would help a lot. But Tor probably wouldn't be able to handle that much traffic coming in anymore anyways. But one can dream.
Well, or we are using all the wrong distros.
That's right. All right. So Liana wallet version 0.3, hot and advancing. I love when they name versions. A small release which brings some fixes as well as possibility to use it to add Liana as a hot wallet, features hotkeys, and GUI is now possible to use multiple signing devices. Very cool. Liana is like a fun little project that they're trying to work on Revault and all that kind of sort of like advanced vaulting until we have a vaulting primitive in Bitcoin. We need covenants. Upvote. It's coming.
This is the part where, the obligatory when mini script on behalf of Kevin and Rob.
I can't hear you. Your connection is really bad. And fired.
Just want to say it was great having Vivek on the team.
That's right. I mean, he lasted like a whole day pre-starting. All right. So Zeus version 0.7.3, QR code scanner, biometric login, channels, view pending and close, channel force close, channel time display, fast node switching, LNURL off. I use Zeus. Zeus is awesome. Compatibility mode with Alby and Blue Wallet. That I use it with Alby. We have Bumi here, Mr. Alby. And anything interesting there that we should know about that's like new from Zeus that sort of interfere with Alby?
I mean, Zeus works. It's my favorite mobile wallet. I use it all the time. I use it with my own nodes and I use it with the Alby accounts. And it's great that they added also the support now for LNUL auth. I think they had it before only for if you had your own LND node connected, and now it also works with the LND Hub accounts. Even though this is a very tricky feature, we at Alby also had quite a lot of problems there because the nature of LND Hub is you have accounts, you don't have keys, and then LNUL auth is based on signing. So the question is, where do you derive the keys from? And I think all the wallets do that a little bit differently. Sadly, we don't have a real standard for that. And it's a bit confusing for the user sometimes because you might log into a different account because you're using the same wallet account, but they don't generate the keys in the same way. So it's a bit of a confusing part. So it's great that they have these options for using it in a way that it works with other apps too. I haven't tried it myself, actually.
Yeah, right now, if people send us boostergrams or stream sats to the show, they're going straight to Alby, and then they show up on my Zeus on the phone. So essentially, the sats come in, and they get zapped on Nostrs out. So
that's the cycle,
that's
right?
Fully. And that, and also booze at the Nashville Bitcoin Park.
You buy and leave there, right? That's also another flow.
That's right. This show needs to have more income from sats. Otherwise, I can't afford to zap as much as we do on.
You should just start posting that underneath. It's like, man, this is a really great note on Nostr, man. I got to say, this is amazing. But I haven't had any stream sats into the show for 2 days, so I can't zap you. I'm so sorry.
I believe in
and come back.
It's a circular economy here when it comes to and I bet it's the same people I'm zapping probably are supporting the show via boostergrams. It's probably the same sets going around.
We're just
a watching
rebalancing
stat
channels,
service.
man.
That's right.
We're just paying fees to hang out together.
Yeah.
For Zeus, though, I also wanted to add the QR code scanner, the import QR code from the gallery, the image.
Yeah.
That is amazing. I want to see more people do that because even for certain desktop apps, I have like a tiny little nook, having a webcam, nothing. So I often find myself kind of screwed over when I'm trying to scan like a invoice for Lightning or something like that. So any image import function on mobile or desktop, highly celebrated.
Yeah,
by
very
me.
helpful.
Yeah, clickable QRs and import from image are both like crucial because whenever you don't have the camera on the device or the screen properly, like that is like the key to just get around it every time quickly. But the thing that gets me that like I haven't used Zeus in a while. I've been bouncing around on my Lightning wallets and I've been kind of leaning on Phoenix for like the last like 2 or 3 months. But the force close channel timer display, the fact that every Lightning wallet does not, like everyone that has channels does not have this, that has always driven me crazy. Like when, I don't know if BTC Pay has it now because I haven't force closed in quite a while. But that was something I went through like a process at some point and had to close and open, just do a bunch of channel management. And I had no idea. I was like constantly having to manually go look up and trying to figure out like, all right, where do I find the time lock on this thing? Like just trying to figure out how the hell long I had to wait for some of these force closed channels. Cause there was that whole phase where it was just like hobbyists open up channels and then shutting down their node, and 3 months later it's just been dead, and it's like, son of a bitch. God, just a timer. There's an explicit time lock there. Like we know, like I could go look it up, but that's something that I have always wished was default everywhere.
I have a horror story back when we used to use autopilot. Somehow it connected me to a channel where the force close was 3 months.
Ouch.
Oh God.
Oh man. It's like Bitcoin I will use as an advanced user. Lightning I want to use like a normie. So like,
yes.
I'm on like Breeze, Phoenix, and Alby.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, I do not want to handle it. I do not want to do anything with it. It's all low amounts. So be
it's
it.
a more complex thing too, but you
That's
just
right.
don't
Way
want
more
to
complex.
give me none of it. I don't want to see any of it.
I wanna zap people and buy beer. You know what I mean? It's like I don't care.
It's actually also for me, I use on-chain actually exclusively on the desktop, I would say, with Specter and so on. So that's different than what you said before. I have, for me, when I do mobile stuff, it's actually exclusively Lightning now these days. So.
But like it's a nice thing, right? Like because you can have spending money in a wallet that you don't have to think about it, right? Mm-hmm. Like on the phone. Mm-hmm. And the phone was not designed for you to have real money in it, right? Because there's no privacy in the phone. Your super shadowy, super colder version of graphene, it's also going to get pounded eventually by the carrier. Like it's kind of hopeless in a way. So, like you can do your more privacy oriented, your proper UTXO selection and accounting and everything on a computer that you control better versus the phone for Bitcoin. And also like if you have real like amounts of Bitcoin, it's going to be in harder wallets, in multi-sig. So you do need a computer to do more complex operations. It makes sense. I mean, people have multiple solutions, right?
Yeah.
Nunchuk, talking about Nunchuk, iOS version 1.9.22, Android version 1.9.27. New settings for hiding the wallet balance. That was my request. New setting item to add a wallet PIN password. That was, I think, my request too. QR progress indicator. Not me. QR flows refactor to be more vendor agnostic. Ugo is shipping a lot there. Nunchuk is pretty impressive. These guys are doing good work. BTC Pay Server version 1.8.0. Custom checkout forms. Lightning NFC plugin becoming core. Labeling addresses. Rehaul the notifications. And store branding. Checkout has copy. There's a bunch of stuff there. And BTC Pay Server with CoinJoin. I think you can run now a Wasabi server with Pay Server or something like that.
In that? Oh, that's nice.
There's something like that.
Wait, so you can become a coordinator as just a merchant who's running BTC Pay?
I don't know if that's what they're doing or if they're running their own Wabi-Sabi that is not Wasabi, the company. It's one of the two, but there is some integration going on that I haven't really, because I don't use BTC Pay Server.
Same.
So I don't follow enough, but I know something along those lines happen, which is cool.
I haven't dug into it yet, but I have been seeing a lot of stuff with BTC Pay. Like I have PayJoin enabled if I end up interacting with anybody who has PayJoin enabled. But I've seen multiple things that I have saved in my stack of stuff to read about CoinJoin stuff with BTC Pay, but I haven't dug into it yet.
Yeah, and and there's also they added a plugin for NIP5 on Nostr, which is great. So you can verify your account doing that.
Oh, sweet! So I could have my own verify at Bitcoin Audible. Hell yeah! Yeah,
I mean it's quite comprehensible, right? The amount of stuff that BTC Pay Server does, but they've also been around for years too, which is I still remember when
this tweet,
the infamous tweet.
Yeah, but they're shipping. It's amazing. Like all the stuff is in there.
BTC Pay to me, like I still have like some frustration. There still feels like something kind of convoluted in the like initial setup and like knowing how to use some of the tools. Like I still constantly get confused. I know I'm doing something really stupid the way that I have my audiobooks for sale on there, which is just like, it's like 1,000 sats or something. But like I've literally made like a different app, like because there's apps and there's stores and there's something like that. Like it's still like the verbiage or the naming or something of the whole thing is still a little bit odd. But after you kind of get used to it, you get something to, you get it to like a functioning state and you do that initial setup stuff. It's so, God, you can use it for all sorts of stuff. Like I can't, despite the fact that I have these like little minor frustrations with it, I can't like not use it. Like I still use BTC Pay for so many things.
It's a very cool project. For me, the biggest barrier is the fact of C#. So you have to run Mono or whatever. Like I can't get over the barrier. It's like I can't run Microsoft shit.
I was just about to say that. Like the whole NBitcoin C# libraries, that's where, you know, maybe because of my Blockstream past and all the crypto people I've worked with, they're like, ew, C#. So I've always been told, you know, avoid C#. But usability, 100%, Guy, I agree with you.
Yeah, well, and the funny thing is like C# is actually a real language, unlike like JavaScript. So like at least they have that going, right? And it does solve the problem for a lot of people. But maybe one day they'll port it to a non-Microsoft related thing and it'll be even wider adoption.
Everyone's going to use Rust.
Yes.
I had never expected that I will be touching Microsoft stuff again, and then BTC Pay Server came, and it was suddenly this .NET and C# stuff, and I was like, "Oh, what? Do I really have to learn it again, or what's going on?"
Oh, I just tweeted, if it was a couple of days ago, like there was this obscure like radio that I wanted to connect to, and the drivers were Windows only. Period. Like there was no way to get around that. So I bought a small little Microsoft Surface tablet thingy. And I'm like, holy crap, this is horrific. Like, I mean, I'm like trying to install Chrome, which would have been a drop of poison water in like hell. And it literally tells me that like, oh, you shouldn't download this because Microsoft Edge has been developed the same open technology, and it wouldn't let me. You can't run it unless you go in and you change
you have to go in
shit
settings and stuff.
Yes.
Oh my god! I hate Windows.
Like, it's just like it's absolute lunacy. And then at the same time, I can download a random exe from the internet that doesn't check signatures and doesn't ask for a password and runs.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about. It says like this software has been built by third-party developers, and please go to your system preferences to change.
It's pretty brutal.
At least Apple, if I do that, like I have an option right in the prompt. This is a third-party developer. Are you sure you want to do this? And I say yes, and I can check a box says, please leave me alone.
Yeah, I mean, like you know, I keep on joking. Like Apple gets flack because you know they're horrible in some ways, but like it's real Unix. Like Darwin is like It's like more Unix than Linux is.
I use the same commands.
It is.
I use the same ones when I go to Linux.
BSD
and go back.
and it's like the real thing. Like things are in the right place. Permissions are correct. You can just download source code and build, right? Like on Windows, you can't do any of that stuff unless you go through like some major crazy runaround.
You have to use the WSL stuff with the hypervisor.
When I was setting up my WhatsMiners, I was really scared because I was trying to figure out how to work around to get it so that I could have like my API or like I could talk to it and I could send it commands like with like a Python script or whatever. I had to activate it with like a WhatsMiner tool, and they only made it for Windows. And I was like, oh God, have I done a setup that I'm going to have Windows, and I'm gonna have to like install an operating system or a version of it on my Linux machine. But I'm very, very happy to report that their tool runs seamlessly and takes seconds to get working with Wine. So if you're a Linux user, WhatsMiners are good.
It's pretty scary to have a Windows machine in my network. I really feel
I don't want it. I don't want it, please.
But like at least, so I upgraded my Apple hardware to ARM, right? So all the M stuff. So I can't run my Windows 95 VM. I used to have a trusty Windows 95 VM. Every time I needed to run some weird shit that I had no choice, often for hardware stuff, I just opened in a Windows 95 VM, play a little solitary and like install some drivers, and like boom, I'm in business, right? But like I can't run that stuff anymore on the new ARM. So I took the plunge and regret deeply. Anyways, I'm waiting. I'm sure it's going to happen. Somebody's going to make a VM of Windows work on ARM soon again. But yes, man, I don't know how people do it with Windows. It's brutal. MyNode version 0.3.11. Improved hybrid mode LND config. Increase electors address limit. Add option to reset custom Bitcoin version, add CLI command to stop dynamic apps, improved mempo reinstall, add pass and up armor packages to help Docker issues. Cool. Do you guys use MyNode?
I think I taught people how to use it back in, 2019 or something when Casa discontinued their node, but I think most people use Umbrel, and then now Umbrel is losing some users to Run Citadel. There's a bunch of different usability. And
I forgot about Run Citadel.
Yeah.
What's Run Citadel?
Yeah, I heard about that recently.
It's another, open source node in a box type of thing. I guess the Umbrel licensing offended some people, so there's now splintering amongst those communities. Yeah. The node in the box community is just keep evolving. It's hard to keep up for me.
Cool.
Yeah, I haven't done MyNode in a while. It was probably right around same time as you. The last time I really messed around with it, I booted one up after Casa went down. Ever since then, it's just been Embassy. Like I just switched over to the updated Embassy from the old small Embassy. And
Embassy has nice hardware.
Embassy, I really like the thing they've done with Prism.
Purism, right?
I mean, Purism. Thank you.
76 or something.
Yeah,
it's
a monster.
Nice.
It's a real computer.
Like it's really good. I've been super happy with it.
Yeah, the fetish over Raspberry Pis trigger me. It's like it's like the most closed computer that exists. Like there's nothing open source about Raspberry Pis.
I'm super happy to move away from it, and I think I'm still going to use Umbrel, but I'm probably going to use it for. I don't think I'm going to use it for Bitcoin, my Bitcoin stuff. I think I'm going to kind of keep my Embassy and the Purism computer as like the kind of hardened using for Bitcoin Lightning, and keep it kind of simple, and then have Umbrel be treated more of like a server with like Tailscale, and use it for files and that sort of thing to get in and out of my network easily.
Can you run Umbrel on like something a little better like Rock64
Yes.
or a real computer?
I am putting it on my new Linux machine that I'm building, which is going to be a monstrosity. I'm still waiting on my damn GPU. Amazon keeps canceling my orders. You can't get fucking GPUs now. Three times I have tried to order a 3090 and it gets just canceled.
We just ordered one of those, I don't know how many $1,000 for AI NVIDIA cards.
That's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
We got one of those. Should be fun to crack passwords and do a little bit of naughty stuff for testing. So yeah, we got one of those recently.
24 gigs of VRAM,
I have
man.
absolutely no idea. I think it was something like $5,000 or $10,000 card.
Oh God, I can't. Mine's like my max is 2K right now. I'm just
this thing is what the pros use, and we wanted the top of the line thing.
I want to be able to run Dream Booth. That's it. So I can train an AI, an image model on something else.
Right. You just want to generate your own porn, right? I mean, that's essentially what
100%. 100%. I'm trying to make AI OnlyFans work happen, and I'm going to put it on Nostr, and I'm going to get so many. Oh my God, the zaps.
That's right. The zaps are going to be beautiful.
All for
You're going to do it
zaps.
for the zaps. The zaps. You're going to have the nips for the zaps. Keeper 1.0.2. Buy Bitcoin directly into cold storage. That's nice. Seamless integration with ramp, low fee. Don't know what that is. Buying available in 150 countries and the US. Recreate Vault with BSMS file. QR autofocus and scanning improvements. Good stuff.
Has anybody, out of curiosity, has anybody been tinkering with Keeper?
No, I mean those guys are like cool and like it's just I haven't found the need for it. But
they changed Hexa to Bitcoin Tribe, which was interesting. I haven't played with it since they kind of changed the UI. But Keeper has been one that I've been meaning to get back to and explore a little bit, but I haven't really dug into it.
And they did integrate some NFC stuff too, which is cool.
I did see that.
It's an interesting project. Robosats. Version 0.4.1-alpha. Swap orders are now more descriptive. Android app now handles all bad requests to the coordinator. Click confirm via send on chat now requires a double confirmation. I never used it, but the project seems cool.
From the sound of Robosats, so I went, the closest I've come is I went and like read through their whole thing and then watched part of Sessions breakdown or whatnot. But the fact that it uses the whole like fidelity bond idea is really fascinating to me. And I really, really want to explore. I want to use it, but all my stacking is kind of automatic now. and what isn't automatic is like little stuff that I have on like Lightning, like it's like with Strike, just like paying to a wallet for like day-to-day stuff, or it's buying in Fold or something. And so like I kind of already have all my buying sorted out. So it's like I want to use Robosats, but I'm already out of fiat every time I want to.
But can you use it to exchange for something else? Like, make a picture of yourself with a pen and then try to sell that.
Some AI porn, maybe?
Yeah, like, there you go.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's how I get it. Zaps and Robosats.
There you go. Orange Peel app 1.1.5. You can now copy Nostr npubs, which are the pub keys.
Oh, PSA to everyone who puts Nostr npubs on their Twitter bio. Don't do that because we can't copy paste it. Just please, like, actually tweet it out. Sorry.
No, you can put it on the link.
Can't copy paste it.
Yeah.
No, but they put it like in the bio, so you can't.
Yeah, no, that doesn't work.
Wasn't
Maybe
there
if you
the
make it into a
hashtag?
hashtag.
The hashtag thing here.
I guess I'm always on desktop because I can.
Oh yeah. It's the mobile difference. You're right.
Just create a redirect. If you go on my Twitter profile and you click on my my link there, it just redirects to the pub key as a URI.
Yeah.
And then
if you ever see me on Twitter Spaces, I have just installed the Twitter app, and as soon as I leave Twitter Spaces, I have deleted the Twitter app. That is the length of time that the Twitter app lives on my phone now.
That thing is a time pit.
It's awful. I had to get rid of it. I don't Twitter at all on my phone anymore. It's just danger. Nostr only.
And the quality of the space is also sort of like total tumble down too. It's brutal. There's like a few here and there. They're like nice but like,
what's wrong with doom scrolling?
That's right, doom scrolling.
Dude, it's crazy. Like I used to think of like I would see when like early days of the internet, right? You like go on like the dark corners on like 4chan, and there was like the dark corner E-bombs world and like all of this stuff. And you would see these like faces of death thing. I remember like having like this, and I was young too, you know? And like, I was just like, oh my God, like you watch people dying and you just want to believe that like somebody just like made this video, right? Like this isn't real. And like suddenly all of this stuff is visible and you just like have to come to terms with your mortality on the internet. And that's like what Twitter feels like.
Oh, it's worse than the 6 p.m. news. It's like
it used to be like
every
a dark
day
thing.
The economy is going to collapse. You're going to die. And people dunking on people who are going to die for the wrong reasons.
And your children are being beaten up in schools.
I'm guilty. I go there minimally per day and I just do a little bit of shit posting and I leave.
Yeah. Yeah. I went to Twitter the other day. It was like 2 weeks ago or something, because it just stood out to me like how much there was. And it was during the time where there was that dude who just beat the crap out of that teacher. There was, I watched an old man get just murdered. I mean, just killed by a bulldog. Just like gross. Like
that's like, sounds like remember Live Leaks?
Yes, Live Leak.
I'm not even kidding. It was like watching flesh torn off of this poor dude in the middle of the street. Like watching a lion eat. I mean, I was just like, oh my God. And then there was something else. It was like 3 or 4 things. I've been on Twitter for like 20 minutes. I was like, I gotta get off of here. This is horrifying.
Yeah, I mean, Twitter used to be like just people talking about tech stuff or dunking on each other or economists or macro, whatever, like some other kinds of ways. Now it's just like full on Live Leaks. It's like people getting shot in the head.
Yeah,
dude. I don't recommend anyone to use the app unless you're trying to desensitize themselves before joining the military.
Oh my God. That's what it was. That's what the other one was. I couldn't remember what the other one was. There was a dude who was just standing out it was like in New York. It was in New York or San Francisco. I don't remember. But in one of the cities that you always hear about. And it was a dude standing next to a homeless guy. And somebody was like in a shop filming this.
I saw that.
Well, he was just loading a gun and like doing it. And he's like looking around and he just shoots a guy in the head.
You know, they don't show it.
I was just like, I'm off of Twitter. I'm done.
They don't show it to me. This is just people creating outrage. Like that's how Elon is going to get Twitter to be extra monetizable, is by just like having a lot of outrage. It's like he's amping up. I see a lot of posts from opposing political views on my feed now that are very triggering to me.
Yeah.
Very triggering. A lot of commie shit. And I'm like, resist. This is just Twitter trying to get me to engage. Resist. Step away.
It's funny. I think there is actually something to that, is that they naturally, it's kind of like the short-term mindset in a sense, but it's like if you just go by like the numbers and the engagement, like even if your intent in that environment is to just create like a fun, engaging place, if you design your algorithm, if your algorithm doesn't have a quality context, you know, if it can't determine why the engagement happened, then all it could do, it could literally just go through optimizing clicks and optimizing responses and literally do nothing but optimize people being absolutely furious and have no idea. And you think you're creating engagement. You think you're creating a great environment that people are having fun, and everybody's actually having a horrible, horrible time.
Just being radicalized in the psyop by bots.
You know, in the 90s, they created this utopic sort of like an apartment with multiple rooms, way before Big Brother and all that shit.
Yeah.
And they put cameras on it. And, you know, like it was like food provided. It was all like sort of like no, like trying to torture, just like want people to be happy in it. People just pure fucking went mental and full like psycho. And like the guy who invented this opened an apple orchard after and sort of like never touched the internet again. Like it's, I forget the name. It's like a super famous story of the beginning of the internet. Dude, it's like, don't put people in places where they know they're being seen and they lose their minds. All right. Blockstream Green Android version 4.0. Allow logins with multi-sig and single-sig wallets, new hardware wallet onboarding UI, lock Jade on session, log out.
I'm a fan of Blockstream Green, but I have to admit that like my recent, for some reason, it won't connect to Jade. like recently. Like I'm having some Bluetooth issue.
I used to be a user of the app, but back when it was green
address.
Yeah, I just can't use it, and it needs the internet to log into the wallet, and it drives me insane. I'm trying to do this air gap on this old version of it, and it just doesn't log in until you connect to the internet.
I just need a sign. I don't need the internet.
I just want to
Don't
export.
leave me alone. Just go.
I just want to export labels.
Yeah.
Accounting. And anyway, so that sort of threw me off. But if you need it for Liquid, that's the wallet to use. Right. We're going to get into Lightning now, mostly Lightning. So Alby, version 1.28.0.
I hate Alby.
Orion.
It's so sucky.
And the
It's the
running
worst.
man. Bumi, do you want to read your show notes or your update notes?
Sure. By the way, how do you like our release names?
I love it. Release names are fun. I wish we were that creative, but we don't. We're boring. We're boring old Bitcoin on-chain company.
Shout out to Quentin here. He's our head of release names. Even though there is a bit of a space theme in there. So yeah. We now have a screen that we show all outgoing screens across the different accounts that you have connected. We improved the Nostr JSON event signing that shows more details about what you're about to sign now. So it's much more useful for users, and you can see the actual detail. Backup reminder for Nostr key, make permissions account specific. Back button in the send screen, a little bit of some housekeeping there. We have a Substack battery was added by and I think even a new contributor, which is awesome.
Substack battery? What is that?
The batteries are, it's our concept to extract Lightning information from websites. So if you put a Lightning address, for example, in your Substack profile, then people can directly send sats, basically.
So it'll just see it on the website. Hell yeah, that's awesome.
Yes. Yeah, and this works for Twitter, for YouTube, and now for Substack also. Yeah, so the idea to enable Lightning payments.
Wait, you can embed it in a YouTube
I got stick
video?
Lightning addresses in everything.
You can embed it if you add a Lightning address, for example, to the YouTube video description. Then Alby can see that and provide the user that has a one-click payment, basically.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's actually pretty cool. I think so. The idea is to bring Lightning to existing applications, right, to existing websites.
Literally, the Alby extension is like what Impervious wants to be.
Listen, if there is one thing that people should learn is that don't build a browser.
Don't build a browser.
No, I mean, dude, it's like millions of lines of code.
Like the extension does all the things that I want. It's all the things. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just don't build a browser.
It sounds like the most noble thing you can do and the easiest way to burn yourself out through maintenance.
Yeah.
It's hopeless.
And to kill the network effect, that you have to compete not just in the Lightning experience or the Lightning compatibility, whatever tools that you build with, but you also have to compete with Firefox and Chrome, and it just
brutal.
Our general concept is there, I think, that we try to bring Lightning where people are already. So people shouldn't be forced to use
already hanging out.
Different applications just because they want Lightning. But we want to bring Lightning to where people are and what's useful for people. So that's why also the extension.
Yeah, I mean, Alby is working great. I wonder, is it possible for you guys to move the private keys to say for example Nostr private keys, and you guys be a USB bridge to UB key, for example, so I can have a UB key on the laptop port, one of those mini ones, and uses that as the HSM. I must say, the part that scares me shitless is the fact that it is on the browser. Even though it's an extension which does have better security.
It's a whole lot better than pasting. It was a huge improvement when I moved it all to Alby. I was very, very happy. But still, I would like another step removed.
It's not Alby's fault. The browser is a shithole.
Yeah.
You guys are doing an amazing job, existing in the browser.
You made an analogy before about the browser, right? It's like trying to eat a steak on the toilet or something like that.
Yes, that's try not to get sick, like in a public washroom. That is the browser. Like you have remote code execution from every fucking thing a website wants to point you to. Like it's just so hopeless, absolutely hopeless, right? And because like JavaScript folks love like many things loading, like you can't even use a firewall because you end up blocking half of the stuff that makes their websites work.
Yeah.
So it's tricky. But anyways, listen, props to you for trying to make things work on the browser. You guys are doing a very good job.
I mean, so there's definitely a difference between the, what runs in the website context. That's an evil place out there. So at the extension is kind of embedded in the browser. So there is definitely a very different security model in there. But obviously it's living in the browser. So it relies on the browser's model.
Yeah, I mean, we only have to share with Google, right?
So, but to answer your question on the key management part, that's definitely a focus that we currently work on, where quite some improvements should be made over the next few releases.
Nice.
Yeah. Also in terms of backups and interoperability and also onboarding process, it's still like right now you still add a Lightning account and then you have to go to the settings and then you can add the Nostr key. So we want to streamline that this is more usable for everybody. So there is a bunch of stuff is coming. Not sure if that's already gonna be in that you can have an external the key even externally, but this has been discussed a few times. But we are definitely there more on the focus on the usability side. So where the key needs to be available to sign certain things because you do that often, right?
So do you guys have plans to buy out the guys from Saturn? They do good analytics there on the stuff coming in. Maybe you should be part of I'm just kidding. I have absolutely no idea who they are, what they're about.
It's part of it's part of it, right? So that's it's definitely Alby's circles. So
okay, cool.
And there definitely the idea is that you can do a lot of analytics with the saps and the boosts that come in, right, to make that a useful signal. I'm pretty excited about that, right? We had the conversation about the algorithms before, but now that we have a value-enabled web with like having boosts and saps, suddenly we can have a much stronger signal for quality because there is real value behind that. And Saturn was one of the experiments there to see, okay, what can you do with that information and how to process that.
Yeah, that's where I read my boostergrams to the pod.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What else? What else should we know about this release since we have the maker here?
So we got improved Tor connection setup. Actually, what we were talking before, it's now easier to use the system's Tor setup already. That feature was a little bit hidden. Now it's more prominent and a lot of people had issues there. So it's a bit of a UI and UX improvement. And we went the direction to add hold invoice support, which also opens up a new kind of applications through WebLN. So,
cool.
And the last thing is actually shout out to all the translators. We got a bunch of new translations in there. Finnish, Danish, I think, are new enabled translations, so you can have Alby in your local language.
Very nice. Oh, it's a lovely app. I use it every day. You guys coming up with an app soon for the phone too, or are you just gonna sort of like let Zeus have that connection?
Yeah, that's the typical question, and we work on a few things there. I mean, we don't want to build a Zeus. That's great. If you would just want to send transactions and receive transactions, these apps are amazing. The question for us is how can we bring Lightning to existing applications, and how would that look like on mobile? Because the concept on mobile is a bit different. The first step that we definitely will have is a mobile, like the extension for the mobile browsers. So for iOS, that will come first. So you have in the Safari that you can enable the same functionality that you would have on a desktop. And Firefox is also moving in that direction, that this is going to be possible on mobile. So yeah, in the next months, there should be something coming, but it's not clear yet.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like native apps it's a lot of work. And it's hard to justify also the values that you get from depending on, what your business does. So I totally get it.
Exactly. It's a lot of work. Yeah.
LDK Roadmap. Just had Steve Lee and LDK and BDK team on the pod on the last, I think, episode to talk about this stuff. Nice to see they released a very, very ambitious roadmap. So they have LDK Node, Bolt 12, Anchor outputs, async payments, VSS, Taproot, and more coming soon. So I won't guess, unless you guys want to get into the very nitty gritty of this, I'll sort of jump, but you guys are welcome to. I am not a super lightning connoisseur, so feel free to jump in.
As the super lightning LARPer connoisseur, I am very excited for Q3 and Q4 because of async payments receive, which is in Q3, and then async payments send, which is in Q4. I believe Val is working on that, and that is really cool because it allows more mobile Lightning Wallet compatibility via accessibility through LSPs when they send and receive payments. Previously, it was very difficult because you lock up all that liquidity along the route. So now it knows exactly kind of when to wake up the phone and accept or receive that payment. So that is godsend. It's probably not as private because you're going to that LSP and the LSP notifies you when to wake up. But I think this will be fantastic for onboarding more users.
That's huge for just use case.
I'm just looking forward to Bolt 12 coming. It's time.
Bolt 12, baby.
Hopefully they stop sort of arguing with the
LNURL. Yeah.
The LNURL folks, because LNURL is working and Bolt 12 is not. So
we'll get to the Core Lightning update soon.
Another interesting point that Fiat Jeff had was, most Lightning is centralized, right? Custodial. So LNURL is actually makes more sense for that, while Bolt 12 makes more sense for P2P. So there is that. Anyways, it's going to get interesting, I think. And I don't think anybody is opposed to Bolt 12. Everybody wants Bolt 12. We just need it shipped.
Well, the thing is, a lot of people feel that LND opposed Bolt 12. Rightfully, they have other priorities because they're a company. They're focused on Taro. But then now we have Carla working on at least that external daemon, which allows forwarding of the Onion messages. So there will be some Bolt 12 sending capabilities, things like that. And eventually it will be added in LND. So it's only a matter of time now, I feel. And other Twitter stuff is just more stirring the pot.
Well, another good thing too is that Fedi mints are going to probably supersede Taro, and then they can just focus on Lightning. Heard here first. Bitcoin Tribe, former Hexa.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant to rebrand. It was too close to Hex and
yeah, I always got confused.
100%.
Wasn't there a Hex something wallet? That was not the Hex, the shitcoin, but there was another Hex project that was sort of like a shitcoin wallet.
I can't remember what it was, but there was because I remember when I was talking to those guys and they advertised. I worked with them on the show for a really short period there when they were kind of launching the official thing, and I had to explain it to people so many times. Isn't that a shitcoin thing? I was like, no, dude, no. It's just it's a Shamir secret sharing. It's kind of a cool little setup, and try it out, but it's not shitcoin. But there was something specifically Hexa that I remember. I don't remember what it was exactly.
There's so many shitcoins with similar names and scam projects with similar names that it becomes very hard to, as time passes, to have enough memory to differentiate them. Right. Rust Lightning version 0.0.114. Faster async Bolt 12 retries. Looks like Bolt 12 is making strides. Should ship anytime now. lnbits Yvette version. All extensions have been removed. only lnbits core installed, extensions manifest added, admin UI, lnbits.org and lnbits Inc. maintain a manifest of vetted extensions. Clean format code base. I've only used lnbits with Cashew, but I am tempted if you ever add to our store, we have to add Lightning to our store, to maybe use lnbits hosted solutions.
What do they mean exactly by all extensions have been removed? Only lnbits and core extensions are fetched.
I think they might have been removed from the main repository and they moved.
I thought it was already that way. I thought I had to manually add them when I did it.
Yeah, but I think they were still in the same repository, the same Git repository. But I might be wrong.
Okay.
C-Lightning version 23.02 CBDC backing layer. Experimental support for peer storage and backup data. Updates, experiment support for dual funding and offer, periodic pruning of channels, now keeps track of them as zombies. More explanation there. Maybe Vivek, you have some opinions about C-Lightning?
Yes, I very much do. So the first point, experimental support for peer storage of backup data, that's really cool because the peers keep an encrypted copy. This is something a guy named Aditya Sharma worked on with Rusty. I believe that's through the Summer of Bitcoin internship. So great to see that and that contribution. The rest is cool, I guess for the gossip side of things. And then, of course, I'm very excited for dual funding and splicing. I think what's kind of missing in our notes here is the past drama 2 days ago. Now there's a 23.02.2, and that was because of some description hash change where essentially I believe that Core Lightning changed where it needs to require the description to then work properly, and this broke some lnbits things, broke Zeus, broke BTC Pay Server, so people were very upset. However, it was in the release notes, so it was kind of like, hey guys, we notified you we're deprecating it. But I guess, there wasn't buy-in or communication. So now it's been reverted, and that's what the 23.02.2 is. So that's out there. And I believe if they wanted to not break any of the Zaps, LN URL, or LN address functionality, there's now a new sign invoice RPC. So you can dive through all the Twitter threads with Rusty where he kind of goes into the weeds about this, but that was like probably the most relevant recent news regarding the release.
When are they renaming this to C-Lightning again? Because I've never heard of Bitcoin Core releasing Lightning.
Man, I just say CLN. I don't touch that drama. With that said, huge shout out to Alex Myers, who joined the CLN team last year. He was release captain for this, and it was his first release. So great job.
Cool.
And the next release will be through another release captain named Shahana, and she works on RTL. So overall, very excited to see what they build, and apologies to anyone's functionality that broke, but hopefully you upgrade using sign invoice.
There you go. Fountain 0.6.5, Nostr Zaps. Fountain support for NIP5, NIP57, so that it can receive Zaps from your Fountain wallet. Revamped style of the videos. Fountain is really cool. I don't listen to pods there, but I do check. I reply to Boostagrams there. And I also like the clipping thing. You can clip the pods and share that. That's pretty cool.
Dude, Fountain, I haven't really talked about this with them, and I do have like a ongoing DMs on some things, and maybe it's not nice to do this on the show.
Oh boy.
But listen, okay, I do this as someone who uses Fountain. So as I love Fountain for its function, for like what I can do with it. Like I boost, Linux Unplugged. I do streaming sats to like a bunch of the things. I still go back to Spotify
do you boost
some
that?
things. Do what? No, I don't. Never. No, absolutely not. But I love Fountain for what it does and what I can do with it. But I still just have a problem with the UI. Like what is on my home screen, the way my podcasts are organized, like it's like the default list is just like each show, like based on like when it came out. Like each episode, excuse me, like not by show, the discovery page, like just the natural flow of it. Like to this day, I use it a lot, and I really do like the app. Like I'm not trying to hate on Fountain, but I still constantly go like, okay, so like what's on? Because I go to home and I think like these are the podcasts that I'm going to listen to, right? And it's like clips from other people on Fountain that I don't know. The UI is just weird. It's just frustrating.
So I've had conversations with Oscar. Oscar just did a raise. The problem is like he's the first one to say I've reached my limits of my UX and UI capabilities. I'm a programmer. So like I think they're hiring UX people and UI people to sort of revamp that. They definitely need to do that. I actually prefer the old UI before they update it. It was a little bit more like, it was annoying because you couldn't click and get to things, but at least it was a little bit more normalized. But yeah, I think for them it's just a matter of time. They just need to get some people in there to revamp the UI. It's clearly made from programmers. LND version 0.16.0. LND will now properly prioritize sending out gossip updates. LND will now attempt to rebroadcast and confirm transactions with each passing block. I'm just glossing over. Alby uses LND, right? Or no?
Yes.
Yeah, so, there you go.
Yeah, we use LND, but we got other things running too, but we use LND. Yeah,
I bet. Can't run just one of them anymore, right? You got to run like at least 2 or 3 implementations of your Lightning node to do different things, I assume.
You never know when Barack is feeling
creative. Good stuff. Is it something you want to touch on, like a little bit of architecture points, or just sort of like not interested in sharing that?
I think it's a pretty straightforward setup that we have there, right? There is a main LND node, but we run 2 of them, but we also experiment currently a lot with Eclair.
Eclair is pretty cool.
In that setup, exactly. Also just for scaling certain things. And we also got CLN running.
Okay.
But not really in production. That's more like just to run it and to have it as a potential backup also, and to get the knowledge there.
Are people able to play with splicing yet, even just like for like test amounts with Eclair yet, or no? Async?
I don't know actually. I don't know the details there.
I don't think splicing is still like being worked on by Dusty Damon, who's messing around with it on CLN PRs. But I think the Eclair CLN compatibility for dual funding and liquidity ads has progressed significantly.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Splicing was also on the LDK roadmap there, right? In Q3 or something like that. Yeah.
Splicing does seem to be the thing that I think will have the most impact in Lightning. Like,
agreed.
In terms of like scale, privacy, liquidity. It's right now like most of the problems the Lightning have in terms of just being a user trying to exist on it could be, I wouldn't say resolved, but much improved by splicing, as I understand.
Yes.
Just like, having channels that don't have to be a specific size, and it's just the privacy of that. You can do coin join on that. Anyways, lots of cool
stuff. The batch opens, exactly.
Yeah.
Wallets of Satoshi, iOS version 2.1.2. We have completed a ground-up rebuild. Hey, listen, centralized, very sort of centralized-ish kind of wallet, but boy, they have survived mostly the Nostr zapping, huge influx, and props to them for making it happen. Not an easy task. I think, was it 80,000 Bitcoin were zapped or something? Of course, it's all wash, right? Because everybody's just zapping back to each other. But still, man, it's It's a lot of zapping.
There's a lot of volume going on, a lot of transactions. So,
It's movement, man.
Definitely see that too.
It's like, what is it? You can make more money now shit posting on Nostr than running a Lightning node. In terms of like
straight up, you do it both together. That's real yield, baby.
Yeah,
that's that crypto yield that they've been talking about all this time.
So, any other updates in Lightning before I move on from that part of the list? Anything I might have missed or that you guys want to bring up?
I don't know if y'all talked about the Breeze SDK thing, but that's been a little bit now. Yeah,
we did on the last list.
Okay, I didn't catch it.
See, if you had Boostagram the last episode,
if I had been here,
you would have
I've
known.
been paying attention to any of this. I don't even know.
That's right.
I think Breeze might have announced some other like supply side liquidity partnerships. I think where there's an actual other Canadian company called Liquidity or something like that.
Yeah, with LWKDTY or some
again.
shit. I was so mad.
It's essentially a firewall against the regulators. The regulators cannot search their name inside a bank, so they cannot find their bank account.
That might be it. But yeah, so they've agreed to provide Breeze with some Bitcoin or something like that for then using towards the Lightning liquidity, and I'm guessing they expect some sort of return. But it's great to see maybe this yield mentality is coming to Lightning, but hopefully it's more rooted and practical grounding on whatever APY they're thinking of. It's not some 8% or whatever like that.
Yeah. No, the chart or whatever that they showed in there, they had the article on the open LSP model, because they're basically, so the SDK that they've done is so that you can just instantly boot up a node and plug in Lightning into any app at all, and you don't have to know anything about it. And then the other side of it that they're doing is making it so that you can essentially run an LSP without really needing to know a whole lot about it.
Yep.
And that it automatically will establish connections, and it will open channels for users and whatever, and you can quote unquote like offer or get yield on your position in Lightning and piggyback off of connections with Breeze. Basically use the fact that they have a ready to go kind of like automated setup that does enough to get like a 1% or 2% if you actually have like a decent connection and decent number of users and that sort of thing. It's really interesting. I mean, like, it has me thinking about it, just because like I expect there to be kind of like services that, or pools, like something like the Lightning liquidity pool, that like as kind of a market develops on this, and this is something I've thought about a lot, but it was only one, what was it that stopped me from, it was like balance of Satoshi or something. I can't remember what it was that got in my way last time I tried to do this. But the idea of, like, I have some significant liquidity that I don't really do much with. And if there was a semi-automated way, like a simple way to get more yield off of it, to fulfill orders for liquidity for other people, like that would be the perfect thing for my node to be doing while I'm not messing with it. You know?
The biggest challenge with all the LSP stuff is funds at risk, right? For very little return.
It's non-custodial, but it's key management. It's hardware risk.
The returns are going to have to go up quite a lot more still, probably by having more payment aggregation, so that you can find enough returns to have those funds at risk, right? Because that Bitcoin is literally at risk in a server somewhere, right? Mm-hmm. So, but I think you'll get there. But until then, you're going to have people who are essentially like, I wouldn't say altruism, but like essentially putting funds there to bootstrap their businesses and stuff. So they have to bootstrap Lightning. But yeah, it's the economics of it are not quite fleshed out yet, at least in my opinion. But I think they will.
It's interesting. I think you nailed it. Essentially, we have a bunch of people with that kind of shitcoiny yield mentality that would love to give a bunch of Bitcoin to Lightning nodes, but it's become somewhat of turtles all the way down, where we're still trying to discover the killer use case. You guys have pointed to Zaps and Nostr. Maybe that is it. But I'd like to see more. Like, I'm very curious how Zebedee will evolve with, Square Enix on the cap table. It's going to get interesting, but we're still searching for that actual use case that drives that supply. We need that demand.
Because, if you think about it, right, like if you're having like real volume of payments, right? So like people really buying coffee in scale here, say Starbucks, right? Like, and now they, for whatever reason, they like the incentives and they say, fuck it. And they're going to just have like, say 20, 30% of all their coffees bought Starbucks or Lightning, right? The amount of fees in that aggregated will actually pay probably a decent amount in fees, right? So now you have a reason to pay, interest or whatever on those funds at risk of the liquidity, being provided. So the thing is, like, Lightning is one of those things that like the money is going to come when there is like a billion people using it. Until then, it's going to be always just sort of like hard to sort of get quite there in the economics, right? But I also don't have a problem, right, with Lightning companies charging fees that are a little bit high so that they can exist while we're sort of bootstrapping this whole thing, because the fees, economically speaking, are still tiny.
Well, that's where the ordinals and inscriptions have kind of been a blessing for all the Lightning nodes, right?
No, it totally is true. I mean, the ords created a floor price for block space, which was not existent before. Before it was zero. Now is always going to be like, more than a SAT, right? VByte. So I'm still able to get one site VByte transactions. So that's a pleasant thing. But yeah, it's interesting.
You had to wait a month to transaction snipe or what?
No, you go through. You can get one or two here and there. Like it's, because the thing about the ords is that like if you look at their size, they're massive, right? So they get to a point in like size allocation where they still leave room for transactions to get in, to fill up that tiny little bit extra space. So you can get in. All right. So we're going to get to a few Nostr updates here. Damus is on version 1.1.0.10. And like just a bunch of updates. I mean, really, like Wheel is just pushing shit every day. I think he's on a vacation now for a couple of weeks. But yeah, just lots of good stuff coming out. Nosotros, also very cool little project and another nice little client. There is also Milian launched Primal.net, very slick web UI. What's cool is that they're doing different things. They're trying to do caching, like heavy caching, proper analytics on it, trying to find like, have views for trending posts and things like that.
Oh, that looks good.
Yeah. It's pretty slick.
Oh, I like this.
There's Nostr Store, which is really cool too. It's an app for you to have essentially like an HSM place to store keys on the iPhone for your browser. And props to Gossip. Gossip is now, it's another interesting client trying to do different stuff as well with actual Gossip. So maybe we have some more clever ways of publishing in and finding the data instead of just filters from the relays. I think it's version 0.5 or something like that. You got to run from source, that one. It's in Rust.
Everybody keeps telling me about Gossip. I haven't played with it yet. BitCarrot told me I need to try out Gossip.
It's pretty neat.
Once again, bad branding. Yes. All the Lightning.
Devs are the worst. They're the worst at naming and branding.
Yeah, I mean, and Gossip kind of has meaning and all these things. But to be fair, though, I mean, like Gossip, the client is actually doing Gossip.
Yes.
But yeah.
When you say Gossip, though, I think of Bolt 7.
Right. Any other Nostr updates that you guys know of that I should mention?
I think we should mention Jack going on a zapping spree, right?
Oh, yeah. I think that's going to come in the news.
Oh, okay, cool.
I think we should have, oh, Jesus. Yeah, we have a lot of it. Yes, Jack did go nuts on the giving 1 million sats for everybody. Like literally everybody. It was pretty fun. Almost broke. Actually did break while it's a Satoshi. Thanks to everyone who streams sats, and shout outs to our top boosters, Ape, Myth, Deer. Dude, please let me know how to say your name somehow. Craig calling out NVK on his QR code fork rolling on the floor laughing. NVK wants NDK so much because it sounds like his name. Totally true. Hero, I forgot to boost. T-Gene, thanks for making release notes easy to digest. Blogging, Bitcoin, thank you for making the blog bounty. I'm now using my markdown skills to write my blog on Nostr. Awesome. Kepford, great show, so bullish. Thanks, guys. And there's more boosts. We just sort of lose track of it, but we do try to keep as many as we can in. All right. Project Spotlight. So Cashew Redeem app, paste the Cashew token in Event Counter on the web and redeem directly to Lightning Wallet. Built in a couple of hours by a new dev with Cashew libs, no backend, everything on the browser. Pretty cool. Cashew is super cool. I feel like it's one of those things that like it's going to essentially keep our park open until Fedimint comes about, and then it's going to get interesting. Have you guys played a Cashew? I have a couple Cashew.
Originally, when it first came out.
I've received a single payment. That's it.
Go on Nostr and just ask for Cashew or send Cashew.
They also have like in the CLI, right? You can send to a Nostr pub key. So
that's right.
So I mean, it's crazy, but a lot of is happening there.
Yes, it is surprising, like how much is being developed. Kali is a beast.
I
was just about to say your buddy Kale ships.
Yeah, that's right. I call him Kale sometimes. His name got committed to memory the wrong way.
Kale salad. I've been very, very interested in the idea of the project, but I have not gotten to tinker with it. So you can, how do you send to, like when you send to a Nostr pub key, does that just mean that like that other person can log into a Cashew wallet with their Nostr?
So essentially they have to go to the mint, which is that network of that specific token, right? And then essentially they say like, look up this key, right? And then this key has those tokens, right? Assigned to it. So you can use many different ways.
So basically, there's just an envelope that they can point to, and as long as you have your Nostr key, you can find it.
Kind of, yeah.
I thought that you actually get the token directly sent as a direct message.
Yeah, you
and then
do.
You can take that and redeem it if you want, but you can also use it to pay forward or something like that.
Yeah, so that's the thing. But like, but that token you have only exists within that mint.
Yeah,
right.
But
like,
the mint doesn't know that you have it actually. So
that's right.
We could exchange the tokens. The mint wouldn't know about that.
They don't necessarily know how much it is or how much. Yeah.
But if you ever want to redeem it to essentially exchange it for Lightning, you have to go back to the mint.
Yes.
The mint is the only way in and out of your little token distribution.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. When I'll be Cashew tokens. More work.
They wanted a federated browser Fedi. That's why.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's going to happen. Fed is pretty cool. Right. Blog Stack, a blogging site for Nostr. Yeah, it's a kind of another cool one. It's similar to habla.news. So essentially on Nostr, you can have long form type of events. So long form notes. And the long form notes, you can actually make another note that tells the network that the previous note is the old note and it displays the new note so that you can edit your long form article and have a client that understands that display the latest. It's pretty cool because there is no delete really or edit on Nostr, right? Because you just have you have a closed sign message essentially, right? Zap Life counts and display all the zaps sent in the last 4 hours. Yes. Pablo, I think, built that one. Amethyst, Nostr client for Android, is progressing. Node Insight launched Sats for Sats, which allows Lightning node operators to exchange data for Sats. There you go. They can sell your data now. Call, get booked and paid in Bitcoin, share a link to your public calendar so that people can schedule you and pay you in Bitcoin. Sounds like similar to Vita, doesn't it?
Yep, exactly. Yeah. I wonder how they actually end up making sure you actually did call or meet or whatever, but this sounds like a cool project.
Yeah. Vita is like, when you go look at like how much progress they have made, it looks like slick. Like it looks like you're on Zoom kind of thing. Like it's legit. BitcoinSearch.xyz is a recent launch search engine for Bitcoin technical documentation and discussion. Very cool, very useful, and it's open source. Bitcoin Jungle, helping bring Bitcoin ecosystem to Costa Rica. Yeah, I think it's not a new project. It's been around for a while. It's sort of forefront now because Nostrica, the Nostr conference in Costa Rica, it's also trying to sort of like have everybody be part of their the Bitcoin circular economy there in Uvita. It's pretty cool. Apparently, like almost everybody in that region accepts Bitcoin. Like you're in the central market, people accept Bitcoin. Like it's everywhere.
When is Nostrica?
19, 20, and 21, I think.
Oh, yes.
So yeah, that's pretty cool. And there's also a hackathon, I think is being organized by Rabo, which is the guy who I think he used to be one of the technical guys at Twitter way back then in the early Jack days. And it seems that all the old Twitter guys are working on Nostr now.
That's pretty bullish.
They've seen the light, they understand the
perfection.
problem.
It's too good.
It's pretty funny, isn't it?
There's also, not sure if it's that one, but it's the bolt.fun Nostr hack and design hackathon.
There's that one as well.
So, also Johns is involved there, I think, who has been setting up the Lightning tournament. So yeah, pretty excited about that. I think a lot of projects signed up there.
And you guys going to Nostrica?
I'm missing it.
Man, I want to, but
My
I
boss
plan
said
on it.
Day off, so I have to work.
it's not happening. Man, I've been on the fence about even going to Miami. Like I'm definitely going to Miami, but like, God, I'm just in this place where I just don't want to.
Miami will be more bearable because it's a bear market.
That's
true. Also, I mean, like, I live in a cold place. So like, I'll take an excuse to go to Florida during the winter anytime.
I'm in a mood to shun conferences all year this year. But then like, I don't get to hang out with anybody otherwise. Like, I'm not going to get to like this is the closest I get to seeing like you guys, like everybody, So like, I feel like I need to at least just to go hang out and see everybody.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot to do this on the housekeeping. So bitcoinevent.org, no HTTPS because it's a redirect domain to bitcoin.review/events, I think. We actually now keep track of most Bitcoin events in a searchable way. And Johnny, the producer of the show, is the maintainer of that. So if you want your event tracked by us, send us an email to producer@coinkite.com. Anyways, so Bitcoin Optech newsletter. Notable code and documentation change. Bitcoin Core number 25943 adds a parameter to send raw transaction RPC to limit the amount of funds burned per output. If the transaction contains an output whose script is heuristically deemed to be unspendable, one with an op return, an invalid opcode, or exceeding the maximum script size, and whose value is greater than max burn amount, it will not be submitted to the mempool by default, and the amount is set to 0, protecting users from unintended burning funds. I mean, only on Core a user could burn funds. I mean, it's the only piece of software that it could build a transaction that accidentally they would burn funds. So that's good to see. Nice protection. And then on Optech newsletter 241, alternative design for Upvault. Greg Sanders posted to the Bitcoin dev list an alternative design for providing the features that Upvault and Unvault proposal. See newsletter 234. His alternative would add 3 opcodes instead of 2. If I remember right, it adds opctv, right? Like the current version of Vaults essentially adds Upvault, Unvault, and just by the fact that it's there, it ends up adding accidentally opctv as well, which is kind of funny and weird because it's going to make this very convoluted discussion. If you want to hear more about Upvault, I highly recommend the episode that we did with James 2 episodes ago. Go search of it. I should probably have them again soon to talk about the current state of it, because Upvault is moving and moving fast, moving a lot. Great proposal. Everybody involved in it seems to be very flexible, which is great. So it is progressing.
Out of curiosity, I'm not sure if you know, I don't remember this being talked about in the episode where y'all did discuss it, but like I know a lot of these are just like different forms of commitments, right? Like it's transaction commitments, and there's been like 5 or 6 different proposals. What specifically about Upvault makes it like different than like OpCTV or something? Like what's the scope?
Oh God.
That
Yeah, I mean that's like a whole other sort of
never mind then.
I got you. So
Okay.
CTV is a bit more broad than Upvault. Vault could be a use case for CTV, and Upvault and Unvault are specifically for the Vault use case. But then there's other ideas where people want to do TX hash beginning at the CTV implementation. You know, like the big thing that happened with CTV is you have one side. So CTV was actually a perfect compromise, and that's where I personally feel Jeremy Rubin failed, because you have the ossification crowd who's like, oh no, even if there's a bug, I don't want a soft fork. And then you have the
no, it's more than that. I mean, like Rubin also was pushing for a UASF to push this quickly.
Yes.
I think that killed it. I think that killed it.
The speedy trial was, the foot gun that ultimately ended it.
Oh, and there is one more thing. James was not done with his review of safety of CTV, I think, when Rubin was still pushing for CTV to be activated. So there was still a lot of open questions of like safety, because it gets pretty out there in terms of use cases and like how you can construct those transactions. So it was unclear if it was like safe.
Well, to my point, it was the perfect compromise in a sense of what CTV's ambitions were. Because on one side, you have the ossification crowd who is, very upset about even having Taproot in the code right now. And then you have other people on the opposite side of the spectrum who are essentially for tap, leaf, update, verify, some crazy generalized covenants that are upgradable via versioning, like SegWit, so it was like, this was the fair thing in the middle, and it pissed off everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still think that the main issue was the rush.
I think it was made pointlessly controversial. Like, I think it got a lot of people talking about like commitments and this idea that weren't otherwise. But I think he just kind of like shot it in the head just by the way that he was trying to get attention to it, and made it pointlessly controversial when CTV was in fact a much a simpler version of what a lot of people were trying to like of commitment things or versions of commitments.
So, but there were still some open questions, right? Like there were still some open questions about how do you add child pays for a parent to the transactions in case the covenants was kind of stuck.
Some of the pinning.
The pinning. Like there were still a lot of open questions that were kind of scary, in all honesty. Like that's kind of like, I was interested in CTV and I started to sort of get turned off because I just found it to be sort of like too sort of out there, too reckless, and too much sort of like cover in terms of safety. But like things progress, and like through Upvault, maybe, who knows, maybe we end up with OpCTV again. There's a very big chance of that.
Just rebrand it.
Well, that's the good thing about Upvault. It's kind of like the benchmark now. Now you can try to have a vault in whatever other proposal and compare it against Upvault.
Yes. And James is the guy to do this kind of stuff because of how he does his education and the testing and everything else.
And you can't say there's no one not demanding a use case because James is at NIDIG.
Just right. No, but to be fair, I mean, like, like I don't think we can scale Bitcoin self-custody without some form of confidence coming in. Like, like I love my hardware wallets. I love the cards that we make that are easier for people to use and stuff. But like, realistically speaking, that's for the next billion people, but 8 billion people are going to need something else. Like, like it's going to have to be on-chain something, because they're just not going to even have like, anyways, we need something. And this one has legs. I love the progress. It's nice. There's not shouting. There's just people coding.
Yeah, there's actually code. And I think that's another
Yes.
thing James said, where for a proposal, he wants to see code. It's like, put up or shut up, you know?
Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, by the way, Bitcoin Optac, it's fantastic. Everybody should subscribe to them. Now has a podcast, which is essentially, I think, a collection of Twitter spaces that they do, which is fantastic. I highly recommend people subscribing to that. All right, Goodreads. AJ, so Anthony Towns, has released a blog post, Bitcoin Zeitgeist, and he goes through the aspects of Bitcoin and the state of like development and implementations that things have. It's highly recommend reading it. Some good food for thought, agree or don't agree on his commentary. It's still very good read. Lynn Alden, latest March newsletter. I look at the bank solvency, also fantastic read, very timely. And what else? Do you guys have any read recommendations I should add to that?
Well, I mean, I have a very, very long.
No. recent guy. Like you're the wrong person to ask that broad of a question. Like, I mean, let's just say something that came out in March.
Okay, something that came out in March. Let's see what I got from March. Oh, there's one that I'm very interested in. That's protocols, not platforms. I actually have not read it yet. Oh, I read some.
Well,
of
who
it,
wrote that? I might have read that.
It's something that I'm considering. There's been a couple of things. There was a book recently too that a bunch of people have asked me about, the game theory on Bitcoin. It's got some math in it from what I've looked at so far, which means it probably won't do good for audio, but I'm very, very interested. It's like 320 pages or something.
But there's actual math, and like you're talking about like Nash equilibriums and those type of things.
It looks really interesting. It looks like a really fun, like if you want to nerd out hard on kind of like the game theory side of things, it looks fascinating. The one that I just mentioned, Protocols, Not Platforms, A Technological Approach to Free Speech. Oh no, this is old. It just got shared recently. It's from 2019. Never mind, I just found it in the last couple of days. One that I did find that I want to read that looks really good. Lop did a thorough breakdown on the idea of like confirmations, is how many Bitcoin confirmations is enough. That one's really good because it's very much about like the concrete like value defense, so to speak, like the economic defense of a certain degree of confirmations versus the size of the confirmation. I mean,
Well, like realistically speaking, like there is a reason why Coinbase transactions require 100 blocks for you to spend.
Yeah.
So if you really want to go full nut, just wait 100, because if anybody can break that 100 mark, we have bigger problems.
Yeah.
Anyway, so just keep that in mind.
It's a fun way to think about it. But I think there's a lot more involved just in kind of the game theory, which is why I'm trying to find this one piece.
I'm guessing he probably refers to the change in the difficulty, right? Like 6 confirmations might be like equivalent of 8 because suddenly there's an increase in hash rate versus a decrease in hash rate where suddenly you're cool with like maybe 3 or 4. And he probably goes into the Poisson distribution where it's 10 minutes at any time. So sometimes it's 3 blocks in 1 minute or 1 in an hour. Probably touches on all that. That sounds interesting.
Found the link to that book, by the way. I put it in the chat.
It's Bitcoin Game Theory Analysis Gruyter textbooks. We'll put the link on the show notes. All right. Innovation. Johnny, that's a funny title. Block, helping customers move between fiat and Bitcoin. So they have like a whole article about on and off ramps and UIs and things like that. Jack Dorsey, Block announces mining development kit. We talked about that on the last episode with Steve Lee. It's kind of interesting. They're trying to come up with the parts that you need to work on hardware, the same way the BDK does with wallets and LDK does with Lightning. What is wallet interfaces and APIs? Bumi, do you want to talk about that?
I mean, it's a bit of the topic of how, and I had more conversations with Nostr clients around that, how Nostr clients and other applications are integrating deeply Lightning functionality, that you don't have to move to switch the applications into and go to a wallet, but basically just that the app can remote execute the payments. And there has been some conversations around that that I find actually super exciting. And I think this needs to generally get a bit of more of an attention, because right now a lot of the developers have to always implement the same backends over and over again. Like we, for example, in Alby, we have all of these different connectors. Snort is currently doing that. You implement LNC, you implement LND Hub, and so on. And I think we can have a chance to have a push here for a unified API here.
Cool. So do we pull out the XKCD standards meme, or this one has like good buyout by like most people?
I mean, that meme always is correct. But it's also important, I think, to always discuss that, because a lot of developers' hours are wasted. And I think for innovation, unified APIs is important.
Very cool. What else? Lightning and L2. Jack Dorsey announces new LSP, C equal announcement. So he's going to help with, providing liquidity. Voltage introduces Flow 2.0, a new LSP focused on just-in-time liquidity. So it seems that that's the trend right now, how to provide liquidity to Lightning. Everybody's doing it. It's great. Bolt Observer announced support for Core Lightning in Liquid Ops product. The book Mastering the Lightning Network by Andreas I can never say his name. Olalu. Yeah, Olalu and Renee. The book is now free. I'm surprised that Andreas is not doing just shitcoin. Mining. First nuclear-powered Bitcoin mine goes online in Pennsylvania. That's pretty cool. Nuclear is the solution for all things energy. Adoption, the local public transportation temporarily accepts Bitcoin Lightning payments in Sweden. That's fun. Check splitting app, settle up adds Lightning support as beta feature. Zappo becomes the first bank to offer Lightning Network payments. Baseball fans can now instantly receive Bitcoin after Perf Heat's most exciting plays. Geyser Grant 2 winners have been announced.
It's like 30 projects, right?
Oh. Oh, Jesus. Okay. So yeah, go look at the link. There's a lot of them. Swiss Bitcoin app relay raises 4.5 mil. Led by EgoDev Capital. Finance, the world is melting right now. I won't even probably bother with any of the specific stories, but the banking sector has been attacked because they ban crypto. All those banks, they're not really to blame for the mismanagement there. It's just that the Fed just changed its mind. And it's also, apparently, you cannot get a bank charter if you try to do 100% reserves. It's impossible. They won't give it to you, because if they do, everybody's going to go bank with you. Can't make this shit up. All right. Any other news updates or anything that I should add up? We're going to sort of start wrapping up the show. Anything you guys think I should mention that we might have forgotten?
I think we've been pretty thorough. You might want to talk about Nostr. I see as the events. We basically touched on it, but just remind.
So we do have the events page now on the podcast's website. It's very complete events. Northern Lightning Conference was added. It's in Belgium, Bergen, Norway, and is March 17 to 19. So kind of right now. Nostr Hackathon is going to be after Nostr. And so there's a bunch of events we've added, including all the Bitcoin Parks meetups as well, and a few other meetups too. And I think we've added now support for virtual events there too. Audience questions. Question for Bumi. According to Alby Buzz, Alby builds on the same infrastructure interface as Blue Wallet, namely LND Hub. Now that LND Hub is sunsetting, how will this affect Alby?
Good question. I mean, we don't build on the same infrastructure. So we have a LND Hub compatible or LND Hub API compatible implementation of the accounting software, LND Hub, written in Go. So this is it's open source, it's maintained, so you can use that. And what Blue Wallet is sunsetting is their instance of their LND Hub. So people that use the Alby extension and have their old Blue Wallet account connected, they need to move. But other than that, it's not affecting anything. And the LND Hub Go implementation is maintained and will be continued to be improved and developed on. Actually, the community there is also growing, and the contributions are growing there.
Cool. All right, guys. So I think that's it. We covered a lot of ground today. Thank you so much for coming on and reading the whole list with me. This is always fun. So any final thoughts, Bumi?
Impressive list. It's always exciting to see all this movement and development that we have there. And yeah, keep on boosting and zapping.
Guy?
I think we're getting into this zone where it's just not possible to keep up with everything. Things are literally so broad and moving so fast. I mean, like basically there was a whole category of just Nostr stuff, and I still don't think we cover. I think there's been like a number of other, of course, I don't know if y'all put it on like another episode recently because I don't boost or listen, but as we clearly detailed out recently, but it's really exciting. I mean, it's just, you can't keep up with all of it. Like, it's moving really, really fast, and some of the tools have become really easy to use, and it's just, I don't know, it's exciting. We're in a really exciting zone.
Vivek?
Bitcoin is a slow, dumb rock with no development going on at all. I'm very excited to start at Coinkite, but unfortunately I got fired before my first day. And have fun at Nostrika, everyone.
Listen, guys, thank you so much. We started this pod just because like people say that there's nothing happening in Bitcoin, and it is absurd the amount of shit. And we haven't even covered half of it, like of what just happened into the last 2 weeks. I mean, we could have added double the notes.
Literally.
Yeah.
This could have easily been a macro episode for 3 hours if we wanted.
That's right. And as we're starting to see with Nostr, like Bitcoin is touching everything, right? Like that's what money does. Good money touches everything. So Bitcoin is going to be part of everything. At some point, we're going to be talking about like milking cows here, and somehow there's going to be a Bitcoin angle on that, right? and like it's inevitable. So anyways, thank you so much for helping me boringly go through the list. And thank you so much for listening, everyone. And if you have any ideas, submissions, do email producer@coinkite.com to reach out to Johnny, and we'll try to add it to the list. So thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Later.
Thanks for listening. For more resources, check the show notes. We put a lot of effort into them. And remember, we don't have a crystal ball, so let us know about your project. Visit bitcoin.review to find out how to get in touch.